Hello. I don't know why I did an Andy Kaufman introduction. Hello, my name is Andy Kaufman, and today we will learn new mechanics in Unity. Alright, let me show you what I was working on last night first, because this was quite cool. So I stole this idea from Honkai Star Rail, I'm not going to lie. So if we look at the back of the hot dog van here, actually you can't see it now because it's turned off. Let me turn it on. Missing snowmen. It's one of these guys. You will notice a protruding carrot. Now, I stole this from Honkai Star Rail, where they have the feather, and then you pluck the feather and you free one of the birds, the origami birds. So I wanted something like that in my game, so let me show you this in action. Is my gamepad on? No. Can't play without a gamepad. What is this? The Dark Ages? Why are these cushions so uncomfortable? Give me a second. Ow. Give me a sec. Hola Tommy! Hello. Okay, he's fine. She's fine. I would say he. Okay. So basically, the way this works is if you come across one of these carrots, you'll get a pull carrot prompt. And if you pull the carrot, snowman pops out. Duh, are you my mummy? Do I look like your mummy? Oh, I don't know. I can't remember what she looks like. I do remember how she smells though. Can I sniff you? No, you cannot. What were you doing in the hot dog van? The other snowmen make fun of me because my carrot is small. So I thought I'd look for something bigger and more majestic. So you thought a hot dog for a nose would be majestic. Well, it sure beats the other snowmen picking on me for having a small nose. They were impressed at first, but then the dogs kept nibbling the end off of it. Get back to town, and Miku might give you a bigger nose if you promise not to run off again. Thanks, Giga and Mayor Miku. This is a carrot I can be proud to wear. And so basically, we're going to get some dialogue from Miku about it, but she's going to say that her snowmen... Someone's going to say, what happened to all the snowmen outside the town hall? Because they're all supposed to be here. And she's going to say, I don't know. They've gone missing. So if anybody finds any, please tell them to come back. And so as you find the missing snowmen, they'll line up outside of the town hall. It's pretty cool. I think it's a nice little touch. It's just extra shit, right? It's like it's not part of the main game or anything. Oh, I fixed snowball mechanics. Snowballs aim much better now. Check it out. Okay, but what a great example. I never said they were perfect. There we go. God damn it. They were fucking bad. They were better yesterday. I didn't say anything. I didn't say any other words. See, much better now. Much better. They're not perfect, but they're much better. I can make them better. I can show you how to do that as well. There we go. So we can get all 34 targets, and then we're gonna trigger a dialogue with Miku. I haven't wired that up yet, but there's going to be a dialogue from Miku, and you'll unlock a cutscene if you get all targets, which will be pretty nice. What are we working on today? Though we're not working on any of those. We want to work on the first mini game. So you'll see that over here, I've made a path of snow, and there is a start line. Well, what is all this about? Well, for the first minigame, what I want to do is I want to make it so that you roll a snowball. So first of all, you're going to pick an opponent in town. Then you're going to ask to head over here. And then as you get to the start line, we'll get a little cutscene saying, you know, now Giga or whoever you picked versus whoever opponent you picked. It's snowball rolling contest. And what you'll do is you'll both have a snowball about the size of you, and you'll push it along this path of snow. And it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and harder and harder and harder to push. And you basically got to race to the finish line, which isn't here yet, but I'm going to put a finish line here. And then the first one to cross the finish line wins the race. So that's what I'm working on today. Try not to fall off the edge of the map. Yeah. If you're wondering how I did this, by the way, I used Unity's terrain tool. Is that what I think it is? Give me a second. No, it's just random people talking outside. Oh, sorry about my nose. My nose is really, really itchy. I'm not picking it. I'm just trying to scratch it. I've got allergy tablets somewhere. I should probably take some. Yeah, I got allergies this morning. This morning, it's afternoon now. Yeah, I've had stuff to deal with today. Okay, so I was still running. Snowball path consists of a piece of terrain. So what I did to make this is, if we look in my materials folder, not my materials folder, where is it? Models, props. Path test 2. Right, it's basically this. So what I did is I drew an S shape in Photoshop, like this. There's the one I actually used. Oh, look at this! Oh, it's good job I wasn't editing any pornographic material recently, isn't it? Photoshop. Not that I would, but you know, Photoshop doesn't know that. Okay, this is the one I ended up using. So basically, I've got a black background. So this works as a height map, right? And the way height maps work is the blacker the color, the lower the height. The whiter the color, the higher the height. It's not as racist as it sounds. It's just, yeah, it's just how height maps work, basically. And if you save that as a raw in Photoshop, you can save it as a raw. There it is, Photoshop raw. What you can do is in Unity, you can create a height map from that. So all you do is you go to create a terrain. So there's my terrain there. And if you go to import raw, you can import the height map. Mine is in props. There it is, path test. It doesn't give you a preview. Windows doesn't give you a preview. And if you mess around with the settings, you can get it the height you want and everything else. So that's how I created the path. It's just by drawing a shape, and then we import it as terrain. So the reason it's like this is, in my brain, it's like, okay, all of this is like flattened. If I imagine all of this, like this is fluffy snow, right? If you're rolling a snowboard, you want loose, fluffy snow. So if you imagine the rest of the snow is like condensed or something, the idea of the path is that it's like Originally, it was going to be whoever has the biggest snowball wins, but essentially they're going to be the same thing. So basically, it's going to grow based off of distance. Okay, so what I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you how to do this because it's not as straightforward as you might think. Because what we essentially need to do is we need to grow the snowball. What I'll do is I'll just duplicate the start line as well so we can see where the end line is going to be. So this is going to be the finish line. I need to change the graphics on it, obviously. So I'm just going to grab that and put it over there so we can see where it's going to be. There we go. So now we've got a start and a finish. Pretty much. Oh, move it that way a little bit. There we go. Okay, so obviously the path has a shape to it, right? It's not just a straight line. Now, if you were going in one distance, if you were using one of the axes, right, of space, you could just measure depth, distance, or whatever, the z-axis or whatever. But because it curves back around onto each other, how do you measure the distance of a squiggly path? I'll show you the way that I've done it in the past and how I'm going to do it now. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a tool in scripts. If I can find my scripts folder. There it is. Where's my tools folder? There it is. Create model behavior script. Okay, I'm going to call it path progression layer, because I can't think of a better name for it right now. Path progression layer. Okay, and what we're going to do, we're going to give the path progression layer script to the player. Actually, I'm going to create a new object for it so I don't forget about it. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a cube. Okay, that's our cube. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shape it like this. Okay. That should be fine. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to change its collider to be a trigger, and I'm going to create a new script, but this is part of the game scripts. And this script is going to be called path progression point. Path prog point. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give this cube a path prog point. I'm going to go into the code. And this is going to need two things, okay? It's going to need a reference to a path progression manager, and it's going to need an on-trigger enter. You can probably guess where we're going with this. So in my core systems, I'm going to create a new system called path progression. This one is a snowball. What did I call it? Snowball path. I might have several of these, so I'm just going to do snowball path. I'm going to create a path progression manager script. So path prog manager. I'm going to give my snowball path a path progression manager script. Okay. And what this is going to do is it's going to be using system collections generic, so we can have a list, and we're going to make a public list of path progression points. It doesn't really need to be public, but I like to keep an eye on things while I'm building it, so we'll make it public for now. Really, the only thing I'm going to use is I'm going to use a public transform called path route point route makes more sense. And then on enable or in awake or start or wherever we want, really. Yeah, I could put it in awake. I could put it in awake. For each transform child in points route, I'm going to say progression points add child get component path progression point. Okay. So that's all set up for now. So I'm going to create an empty object on my snowball path, and I'm going to call it progression points. Okay. Now back in my progression point path progression point script, we can make a reference to our path progression points. But this is where we need to be careful. It depends how you do it. I'd rather have this as a prefab. Okay, the way I like to do things, there are many ways of doing it. The thing about prefabs is you can't publicly link things in the inspector outside of yourself because it needs to be self-contained. So you can only address them. You know what? It's really not that complicated. It's just core path progression snowball path. But what that does mean is I'm going to need different. I'm going to need different prefabs depending on which path I'm tracking. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to make a doesn't really need to be a prefab though, to be completely honest. Maybe better to do this not as a prefab. Probably better not to do this as a prefab. Okay, here's how I'm going to do it because it's just easier. Okay, don't do it as a prefab. Let's do it this way. It's just easier. So we know it's a path progression point tab type that we're using. And I'm just going to do a public one. I'm going to call it path. Then I'm going to do a void on trigger enter. And then this is where we put our logic for tracking progress. So what I'm going to eventually need is one for the player and one for the opponent. Now the opponent's not set up yet, but the player is. But for now, I'm just going to say if other.name is player, then I'm going to do a public path progression point, last point, and I'm going to say path dot last point Why is that not coming up? Oh, because I said a path progression point. Sorry. It should be a path progression manager. There we go. Now we can say path dot last point equals this. All right, that's basically all we need to do. Just for debugging purposes, just want to make sure that. Okay, we can tidy that up later. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to make this an invisible cube. Progression points. So this is going to be a progression point. We don't want to see it because it looks awful. Yeah, and that should be set up. Now I'm just going to tell it which path it belongs to. You belong to the snowball path. There you go. Okay, so this can be a progression point test. All right, so now if we go back to our player, remember this path progression layer script that we made. We're going to give it that as a prefab. Path point. And what I'm going to do in update, I'm going to say there's a few ways we could do this. Yeah, we could do it in update. No, it's much harder doing it that way. Okay, easiest way to do it. Using system collections, make an I enumerator start. And then wait for half a second. And then we're going to say game object new point equals instantiate path point new point transform position equals this transform position new point transform rotation equals, I don't know why the hell it's saying that. This transform rotation, and we could give it a name and a number, I guess. So if we do a private int index equals 0, new point dot name equals path point underscore plus index to string d4 and an increment index. All right, that should be all we need once we give it the prefab. Make sure that's switched off. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong. We need the collider on, but the render off. I'm pretty sure on triggers will fire off even if the game object's disabled. I think. I'm not sure about that. I think it will. Okay, so if we go to our path progress layer now, and then what we want to do, we want to assign the path, the progression point test game object, and we want to make sure the script is disabled for now. And then if we go into our game, here's what we do. No reference exception. Points route was not set. Ah, so you're right. We can give it that. There's only 1 point right now, so it's not going to do a whole lot, but it doesn't need to. Okay, there you go. No errors. I like that. So we can pick any character in the universe. Doesn't really matter. And then we want to go over to that start line. I almost went to the wrong start line there. Make sure you got the right start line. Oh, did something get wiped out? Why does it look like that? That was supposed to be the road closed. Barriers. They've turned into giant, what look like bullets almost. Okay. I know what that is. That's why I wrote that resource renamer script. Oh, that's the carrot. So here's what happened. When I imported the snowman's carrot nose, it must have had the same mesh name, default mesh name, as those road blocks. So it got overwritten. So I need to re-import those. It's fine. That's why I have that resource renamer, but I guess I must have missed one. All right, so we can go over to our, and there you go, it's working. As I crossed the start line, this came up, so we know it's working. So on my player now, here's what I need to do. Throw a snowball. No. All I need to do is activate the path progression layer script and then walk the path to the end. That's basically all I need to do. So let's do this. So turn it on. Boop. It's on. And now just walk the path. Try and keep sort of central and keep it rotated pretty nicely. And what this is doing is every half a second, it's obviously dropping one of those little checkpoints, invisible checkpoints. Boop. That's all we need to do. Now if we press stop, nothing happened. Eh? Wait, what? Oh! This is so weird because I was watching a YouTube video where a guy was insulting somebody else's code and they basically did something like what I'm about to do right now. And they were like saying, "Oh, that's terrible." And I'm like, no, it's not. I do that all the time. It's great. While true, he hated that. He's like, you didn't even declare the variable. You don't need to. It's just to get it to run infinitely. What are you talking about? Why declare a variable that you're not going to change? There's no point. It's just a waste of a declaration. Okay, I messed up. I'm sorry. Not sorry. I don't know why I keep saying that lately. Alright, let's try that again. I'm a fool. So it would have laid one and then stopped. Alright, we'll be Iron Mouse. And we can hit some targets on the way. Because I can actually do that now. That was a better shot. God damn it. I never said I was good at... Look, just because I made the game doesn't mean I'm good at it. Right. Where the hell is the start line? Oh, it's on this side. I thought it was on that side. I don't even know where anything is in my game. I don't know where anything is anywhere. I'm like a lost little baby looking for my mommy. No idea where I am most of the time. That's why I don't leave the house. I just get lost. If I left the house, I'd get lost forever and nobody'd ever find me. Right. Okay. That's the excuse I use. All right. So our path progression layer, remember? Enable it. There we go. We can see them going now. Try and stick to the center of the path. Follow the path. Beep. We can pause. And then we'll see a bunch of path progressions. Are they actually curving with the path? Because if they're not, then it's no good. Why are they that big? Wait. Oh my god, it's all gone wrong. Why are they bigger than the universe? And why are you so loud? Fly somewhere else. What the hell is going on? Why is it that size? And it's not lined up. Okay. If it does this for you, then it's probably because of this parent, rather, right? It's being influenced by its parent. So just put it in the root. All right. Just put it in the root. All right, let's try it again. Third time's the charm, as they say. We'll try it for a third time. Because the code's right. But I didn't realize that parent was so weirdly shaped and sized. But apparently it is. It's probably the terrain thing. I don't know. I probably messed around. I think I was messing around with the terrain settings. Where am I going? I'm literally going the longest way around to this thing. I could have just turned right and I would have been there. But because I have such a terrible sense of direction, I've literally taken the longest way around. Hit it! How? This was working perfectly last night. I swear to God, it's always the same. I'm going to fix this even more. I'm going to fix it even more. You watch me. Okay. Miku, don't judge me, alright? It's not my fault. I'm stupid. Okay, these carrots need to be replaced with the... It's fine, we'll get there one day. Okay. Let's do this. Are you ready? I'm not. Let's go. Damn, what am I stuck on? What am I stuck on? Oh, fuck, I jumped. I don't know whether that's going to fuck everything up. We can line those up with the ground. It's fine. I got stuck on the terrain. It's bumpy. Never happened the other times. Also, I realised I may have screwed this up because I shouldn't have. Oh no, I suppose it's fine because the player's never going to be tilted that way or that way anyway. So I said inherit the player's rotation, and I was like, oh, but if it's leaning forwards and backwards? But the player doesn't lean forwards or backwards, so it shouldn't really matter. All right, so let's just grab one of these and make sure it's fine. I show you how we fix it. I don't know that. I guess you know what I did? I shaped it the wrong way. Okay, so there's two ways we can go about fixing this. We can either shape them the correct way now, or we can just rotate them. We should probably shape them the correct way, to be honest. So they are following the path, but where they're wide, they should be thin, and where they're thin, they should be wide, basically. I think. Why? Why? Why though? Why? Why are the spider's legs poking out? I don't understand. Why? What? Why? What am I misunderstanding about what's happening? Okay, fine. Four attempts, okay? I swear when I do this and I'm not streaming it live, it works perfectly every time. I've never... I've never messed it up this much before. I swear! Right, where is it? There it is. Okay, so I guess it wants to be... We need to find out which way is forward. Right, so I guess... Wasn't it 90 degrees, like, the wrong way? It doesn't matter whether they're backwards either. I'm pretty sure a 90-degree rotation on the Y will fix it. And then we make it thin that way instead. Basically. We can make it a little bit wider because the path gets wider further down actually. It doesn't need to be that tall. So I assume that's gonna lay it better for us because I guess maybe the player's at like 90 degrees at the start point or something. I don't know. I don't know. When I did this for my car game, it worked flawlessly the first time. But I guess I probably started the track at like 0, 0, 0, and I made sure my rotations were correct and all this stuff. I'm adding this, like, you know, to an already built level, so it's probably not, you know... Not everything is what I would expect it to be. Alright, let's try this fourth attempt. We did get stuck on geometry last time as well, which was kind of annoying. Let's go! Yeah, we didn't get stuck on geometry this time, which is good. Follow the path. Follow the path. Follow the path to your doom. Whee! Okay. Right. This better be right. I'm going to be so mad, Unity. You have no idea how mad I'll be. Yes, at last. You see it? Do you see it? Now we have... Look at that. A perfect layout of progression points. Look at that. Yeah, so make sure... My tip would be... Make sure your rotations... Make sure your rotations are correct first. Otherwise... It might take you 4 attempts like me. It's worth it though. We know what we're doing now. Okay, so some of these at the end we probably don't need, to be honest. And there's probably maybe even some at the beginning we don't need because, like, yeah, it takes you a little bit of time to like get going or whatever. So you can figure out sort of what range you want. To be fair, I'm just going to grab them all. Just grab them all. So what you want to do is highlight your progression points, press Control and C to copy. Stop the runtime, and then you can paste your progression points. Where the hell is paste? There it is. And put them on progression points. And now, because we already told our progression manager where these progression points live, when we press play, and we can test this now, our snowball path should find all of those progression points. And we can test it right now. Even better than that, because it's all set up. Right, we can go over there as a little bug girl. I don't know why I always go the wrong way. Morning, Miku. Don't judge me. Okay, this is probably the quickest way. Here we go. Okay, now keep your eye on that last point. See that last point? It should go up as we go further along the path. So now what we can do is we can measure the totality of points and say, and like basically return what percentage of the path is complete, right? So we know that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And obviously the more accurate you want it to be, the more regularly you can drop these points. So I'm probably going to grow my snowball based on these points. So I ended up with like 43 points, 44, 45, somewhere around that, right? So I can grow the snowball a little bit more on each time we pass one of these points. So yeah, basically every time we pass one of these points, we're about 2% through the path. And so I can use this data now to figure out how far along the path the player is. And from that, I can decide how big I want the snowball to be. All right, so let's do that then. So let's figure out which ones of these are redundant. That's at the finish line. That's slightly after. Definitely the two after that are redundant. Don't need those. And probably the first one is as well, I would think. I mean, just to be extra safe, if we start from that one, the first two are redundant. There we go. So now we have points 2 to 43. And in our progression manager, we can figure out how far along the player is. And also if we put a separate name on a separate bit of script, so we can put opponent, right? If we look at our path manager. So this one says, hey, this is the player's last point. So what we could do is we could change that to last point player. I'm going to have to change the script on the other. Yeah, we could basically do a public path progression point of last point player, a public progression point of last point opponent. And if we change our script, we can say if other.name is player, then path last point player equals this. If other.name is opponent, and we can set up a controller that specifically says opponent on it, and then just load whichever character the player decided to race against. Then we can obviously update the last point opponent, and from this now, even better, we can figure out who's first and who's second place, right? Because I mean, it's not very accurate, to be honest, but as long as it's it's at the end of the day, it doesn't need to be right. It's like who crosses that finish line node first, right? That's all you need to know. And so it's also probably good practice, right? Just to make sure these ones are a bit better lined up with the start line, right? You can go and change these manually, and then make sure that your finish line. That's actually perfect already, right? If you look at where that starts, it's literally right on the finish line. There you go, look at that. So soon, all you will do is you'll use this trigger collider, and it's as simple as, okay, who's the first one to enter that trigger collider? Whoever the first one is the winner of the race. Obviously. But now we can grow our snowball depending on how far along the path the player is. So I'm just going to turn all those off so that we don't see them. I need to make that a finish line, but we'll get to that. All right, so next I need 2 large snowballs, please. 2 large snowballs, please. So I'm just going to start by creating a sphere with a collider on it, something we can actually roll. And I'll probably use the standard snowball mesh that I've used already in this, the one that we actually throw around in the game, the one that I built the snowmen out of that you just saw earlier, because it looks more like a snowball. This doesn't really look like a snowball. So what we're going to need is a kinematic rigid body, not kinematic rather. That can be rolled, use gravity. Right, I mean, we might like increase the mass along with the size and stuff like that. So for now, so that's terrain, so it should land okay there. For now, we don't want... Let's just start with 1. Yeah, let's just put 1 in the middle because we need to make sure the player can push it and stuff as well. So we probably need mass to be really, really light, I would think. I don't know. I've never really done much like this with physics. Let's just see what happens. We'll figure it out. We can get Jibbity to help if we need to. Okay. Blah. Where am I going? Where the... Is this where? God damn it. I don't know why I never... I'm going to take my frustration out on this. There we go. Damn, that's so satisfying. Okay. I've got to change those roadblocks back. The road is blocked by 2 giant carrots. God damn it. Right, okay. Can we push this? Not as it... Oh, a little bit. Also, that's much bigger than I wanted it to be to start off with. It's going to get bigger, but it's a little bit bigger than I wanted it to be. But this is where we can size it now, right? So if we start from maybe 2, how's that feel? R2 is much better. Oh, we can move it now. Look at that. There you go. Oh, hell. What happened there? Oh, it must have started on like a downwards thing. Okay. Now there is there is a problem. There is a problem I just realized. I would have lost the race now. That's going to be the annoying part. Oh no. I might need to put guardrails or something. Because I think it might be too hard otherwise. Oh shit. Okay, I need a respawn point that I can respawn my snowball to. Okay, well, first things first. First things first. 222 is the size we want to start off with. Yeah, okay, so there's some, I just realized something. The way this is going to be, the way I'm setting this up at the moment, the player could just ditch the snowball and then run straight to the finish line and win the race, right? It's the really, it's the snowball, right? So this is going to be, let's call it ball player. We'll do ball player and ball opponent. And then we're going to need a ball opponent. We'll get this first one down first. Ball player and ball opponent. Yeah, and then when we look for our path progression, we need to actually make sure that we're actually tracking ball player and ball opponent. Okay, so the first thing I want to do now is I want to respawn the snowball back to a starting point if the snowball rolls off the path like it just did. I don't know. I need to think about this. Or maybe I need to come up with a system where it can't roll off the path. Right, hang on, somebody's at the door. Okay. I'll close the window, actually. Yeah, it's just a delivery. Sorry about that. I also took the opportunity to tinkle whilst I was up. Okay, so this is going to be a playtest thing where it might be too hard to keep it on the path. What I could also do is I could go to my height map. So you see how the higher up is in the middle and it kind of slopes down around the edges. if I gave that, and the easiest way to do this actually, if I wanted to keep it on the path easier at least, it would be very, very easy for me to do that. Because all I would do, I keep the original version first because I don't know if I'm going to do this, but I could just give it a stroke. Hang on. Make sure that only the thing is picked. And then give it a white stroke around the edge like that. Now it's going to be a bit weird. It's going to dip right down before it gets a little wall around the outside. So the way to fix that is just to step backwards. And when we deleted the background, turn our tolerance up to a lot more. It's too much. .66. And in that way, when we do our stroke, it should be less. There's still a bit of a black gap there. Could probably blend that in. So what that'll do is it'll put a lip. It'll put like a high, like a mini wall, like almost like a little groove, a little wall, a little thing around the edge of it. But let's see how it goes. It might be more fun though, to be honest, to leave it as it is. So I'm just gonna. Oh, what is happening? Black. Oh, it's because it's the stroke layer. Okay, I see. Shit. So why is it stroke? Because that's the edge. Eh? Why is it putting a stroke there though? I'll be able to stroke in a minute. Yeah, I don't really know why it's doing that. I could just do that and move it out of view. That'll be fine. Yeah, so if we find that it's like, center it more. If we find that it's rolling off too much, we could use that as our height map instead. It's going to have a bit of a wall around the edge, just to kind of keep it on the path a little bit easier. But this might be more fun actually. But the way it currently stands, the ball can become, can roll off the path, and I want to set it back to a spawn point. So this is the spawn point right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate that ball. Call it player start position. This one doesn't need a rigid body or a collider. It's literally just a position reference. And so what we can do to test it, to see how that feels, is we'll just do a reset ball script. Reset path ball. And what reset path ball is going to do is it's going to check in update to see if it goes too low, and if it does, it's going to get respawned. So we want a public reference of a transform of start position. Right, and then we can do a public float. So which axis are we working with? Is it Y? Yes, it is Y. Minimum height. If this dot transform dot position dot y becomes less than minimum height, then this dot transform position equals start. position. Okay. So what we need to do now, turn the script off for now so it doesn't start jumping around like crazy. Press play, see where it rests. So it's resting at 3.262, so we can copy that value. Now, it's probably going to go lower than that and still be on the path. But for now, let's just set it to 3.25. I got to be careful because if it goes lower than that on the path, it's going to get reset. Let's set it to 3.2. All right, we'll see what happens. I did set the start position, didn't I? No, I didn't. Let me just set that and then restart it. All right. I should have set up my teleport script by now. I've actually got a teleport script on my waypoint on my Pathfinder thing, so I could actually teleport myself there, but it's not far. It's not that far. If it was like right over the other side of the universe, why does that ball not look round? Oh, it's because our start position has a mesh renderer on it. There we are. I knew something was wrong. Okay, it's got too much mass still. You're too fat, ball. Let's try half as much mass. Oh, the snowball got it. Oh, snowball got it rolling, hitting it with a snowball. Okay, it's right. It's too sensitive. Also, right. Also, I know what we need to do. When we respawn it, it's just going to infinitely keep rolling down. So when we respawn it, we need to remove all force from it. I might have to ask Jibbity how I do that actually. So mass at 0.05 seemed to work better. But 3.2 was like, I think it's probably just, this ground is probably at 0, I would think. I'm just going to duplicate one so we don't mess anything up. What position is it at when it's on the ground? If it rolls onto the ground, its Y becomes 0.42 because it's not quite 0. 0.42. So we can see if it goes certainly less than 0.6. That's not our ball. 0.6. And we know it's definitely rolled off the hill at that point, right? All right, so let me ask Jibbity how we do that. Because I'm not entirely sure of the syntax. When my snowball rolls off the path, I reset its position. I also need, however, is it inertia? Force remains okay, when my snowball rolls off the path, I reset its position. However, the force remains, so it keeps rolling off the hill. Or off the start line. How can I remove all force from the ball when it resets? Does this thing create images now? Create an image of my snowball. Please don't. Get component rigid body. We want dot velocity and dot angular velocity to vector 3.0. Okay, we can do that. There is no velocity. It's linear velocity. Yeah, they changed it actually. Yeah, so in newer Unities, it's now linear velocity. It used to just be velocity, I think. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. This is gonna be so funny. I love the stupid mesh render on. Okay, so I guess they don't add force automatically then. I think what made it move before was hitting it with a snowball, you know. It's like snooker. Snowball snooker. Maybe that's what this should be called. I can't fucking hit it with a snowball now. Yeah, if I hit it with a snowball, it goes rolling. Whoa! But then once it rolls... Ah! I didn't reset. What height's it at? It's at 0.89. So we need to change that to like less than 0.9, I guess. Yeah, if I hit it with a snowball... Well, maybe that is how you meant to do it. Hit it with snowballs. It's actually, you know, it's actually kind of... Oh! It's actually not bad. It's actually kind of fun. Maybe it is fun with snowballs. Hitting with snowballs. No. Ah, this is fun. This is fun. Oh, no, get back. Oh my god, this is actually kind of fun. No! Oh, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Oh, see, I'm getting better at it. Oh no! This is actually kind of fun. It's not even finished yet, and if I'm having this much fun just pissing around with it. then that's probably a good sign, actually, that we're onto something. Okay. Yeah, I think hitting it with snowballs is... Oh, you can still bounce into it. Like, once it's moving, your character, like, can steer it. There you go. I've almost done it. I did it. I would have won. I've won. Well, I'm not actually racing against anybody right now, but at least I was able to complete it. Yeah, no, I don't think we need guardrails on it. I think it's more fun without the guardrails. I need to put some kind of like message on the screen though to say that the snowball's position was reset. Otherwise, it's kind of like confusing because you're like, okay, where the hell did the ball go? Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think maybe what I'll do is I'll slowly add more mass to it as it gets bigger as well. But yeah, overall, I think that's actually... Oh, this is the bitch. Oh! I also need to reset its size as well when it goes back to the start line as well. All right, that is great. I'm actually really pleased with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a private vector3, which is going to be called start size. And now we can move our rigid body up there. Okay, and it depends which way around we want to do it. We can either put the snowball growth code on the snowball itself, or we could put the snowball growth code on the path progression manager. Okay, I'm going to do a player progress and an opponent progress. And then in void update, I'll get Jibity to do this for me because it'll do it in like no time at all. Okay. Can you help me calculate player and player 7? Actually, let's make them integers. Okay. Error. What have you changed, Jibbity? You changed the name of my script, you little bitch. That's a small p. If I wanted a capital P, oh, that's not the way I do things. I know that's not how everybody else does things, but I like to be different. What did you change, you little bitch? You added a capital P for path progression point. No, you didn't. So then why is it complaining? Last point player. Did you put a capital L on last point player? No, I still... Why are you doing this? Oh! Wait, did I change the wrong script? No, I literally didn't. Okay. I'm actually gonna say, can you try that again without changing any of the existing script? Please just calculate progression without changing the script. Didn't fully follow instructions. It's like changing it. I don't know, it changed all kinds of things. It got rid of my nearest point. Like, that's not how my thing works. Like, don't make assumptions about how it works. It decided to track transforms instead of using my progression system. Like, transforms aren't going to mean anything because it curls round. That's the whole point of the... whatever. What are you giving me? Oh my god, Jibbity! I swear to God, I'm actually going to kill somebody. I'm actually going to kill somebody. Okay, maybe I didn't copy the new one. I think it's because it includes the update body as well. Player does not exist in the current context. Why are you using... Okay, I don't think it understands how my script works. It clearly doesn't understand how my script works. Okay. Here's how the system works. Progression points follow the path of the race. So the first progression point recorded as last point means they're at the start of the race. The last progression point recorded as last means they're at the end. We are not using positions here. Can you help me calculate progress based on current progression point indexes divided by total progression points? Got it. Since you're tracking progress based purely on the progression points list, we can calculate each character's progress. Yeah, we have to, because the path curls around. Okay? It would be very interesting if it didn't. Right, okay. Yeah, I guess it really didn't understand how that worked. I thought it was kind of obvious. I mean, they're called progression points. Okay, let's make sure that's working. Obviously, we don't have an opponent yet, so we can't really test that yet. But we should be able to see whether player progress is updating based on how far along the path we are. I mean, we could test it by creating an opponent ball. God damn it! I can't, okay, it's actually pissed. It's starting to piss me off now. I'm actually going to need to turn this mesh render off because I keep forgetting, and it annoys me when I see it because it looks like an egg. Okay, not that I hate eggs or anything. I just don't really want them in my game. Why do I always do it the long way? Like, all I have to do is turn right 90 degrees, but I always turn left 270 degrees. Like some kind of imbecile. I don't know how many times I make the same mistake over and over and over and over and over and over again. But I do. Okay, so let's look at the progression path, make sure that we're getting an accurate... I mean, it's saying, okay, maybe it thinks player is at 5% right at the start of the race. Doesn't really matter. As long as it goes up, right, it doesn't matter that it starts at 5%. Because we're going to grow the snowball based on this progression. But yeah, it's going up 29, 30. Wait! Oh, the number I changed. I need to make sure this number changed in the editor as well. Stays. Where did it go? Where even is that snowball? Oh, fall off the edge of the map. It'd be so funny. It'd be so funny. Go on. Go on. Go on. I'll help you. Go on. Get off. Now we respawned it. Okay. So it's at -2 progress. I don't know how it can be at -2%. -2%. Yeah, I totally trust Japanese calculations there. -2% complete. What does that even mean? -2%. We're starting with a deficit. We start this race with a deficit. That is not good. Oh no! I'm so bad at this! That's probably a good sign. That's actually a proper game. Okay, I do need to change this value. I can't remember what it needed to be. I think it was 0.9, wasn't it? Okay, we'll do less than 0.099 and that should respawn it. Wait, it didn't? Wait, what? Oh, that's the start. I thought it was at the finish line. I was going to say, how the hell did that get there? That's the start line, you fool. This is why I need to change the start line as well. The finish line. I'll make that one red or something. Okay. Yeah, once it starts moving, you can steer it like you can actually influence its position. No! I always do this. No! Why? It's good. I'm enjoying this. This is fun. I feel like this is going to be such an infuriating game for people. This is the first game as well. This is like Dark Souls Winter Sports. Oh, 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 that's good. That's good. Go on, get up there. Oh, get up there. Go on. That's it. That's it. Yes! I would have won. Yes, I would have won. I would have won. All right, did we get at the end of the progression path? What does it say? Oh, it's at -2 apparently. No, it's because it respawned. It would have been because it fell off the map and respawned. Yeah, the thing is, I moved off that because I had to because I was fixing something else. Ah. So I do need to make sure it's working. It should be fine though. Because now what we can do is we can have our snowball look at its progression. And then it can grow based off of the current progression. And then we just need to give it the snowball mesh and it should be pretty good. This is already pretty fun, to be honest. Ow! No! No! Come here! Ah! This is pretty fun, actually. Oh, shit! Oh my god, that went flying. No, where are you going? I removed all momentum from you. No, get here. Naughty snowball. Come here. Come on. Yeah, this is going to be a good little minigame, I think. Oh, no. Why am I so bad at this? Okay. I think you get the idea. Okay. So let's make sure I remember the thing that I changed, right? Which was the ball player is at 99, so that we know when it respawns, when it repositions. Okay, and then in here, what we can do now is we can say, right, obviously it depends whether it's the ball player or whether it's the ball. I think it's better in that case. I think it's better. So we need to make a ball player and we need to make a ball opponent is the first thing I need to do. So the player will start on the left. The opponent will start on the right. We need to make sure the player start position is set to the new position. And then we can duplicate this and we can do opponent start position. Make sure a ball opponent has the opponent start position. There we go. Okay. So the snowball path wants to know about the balls. It's going to need the game object. So the transform, just the transforms will do. So we'll do a public transform, ball player, public transform, ball opponent, and then what we're going to do is on update we're going to say, right, this is where it calculates progression. Right, so this is where I need to come up with some kind of scale factor. Back where we back back where, right, remember how we recorded the start size here? We need to say that this dot transform local scale equals start size as we respawn the ball. Otherwise, it's going to be the size of a freaking house. Because if you get close to the finish line and then you keep having to respawn and we keep growing it and growing it, it's going to get ridiculous. Which could be fun, but it's probably better that we keep things predictable. Okay, so our path progression manager. So the snowball is responsible for resetting its own size. What was it? What is it? What is its original size? Okay, so they're scaled at 2 to start with. So we could try by adding 0.1 per progression point. Actually, I'll do it in here because here we have access to the index. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a private float, and I'm going to say scale. Okay, grow amount, right? Grow amount, and we'll set it to like 2F for now. And I'm going to say this is the player ball, so ball player local scale equals 2F, which is the start scale, plus grow amount times player index. So at the first progression point, at index 0, it's going to remain at 2F, right? Okay, so that's, yeah, that's because where we want a uniform scale, right? So I'm going to say new scale equals that. Equals, there we go, 2F plus growth amount times player index, and then local scale wants to equal a new vector 3 of new scale, new scale, new scale. There we go. I'm going to do the same thing on the opponent, except we want to look at opponent index. And we want ball opponent. There we go. Okay, make sure the snowballs are linked. Ball player is ball player. Ball opponent is ball opponent. Alright, let's test it. So if it falls off the path, it should reset its scale back to its original. We might get an attempt to no, we don't divide, we times, so we shouldn't get a divide by 0. Yeah, we shouldn't get any divide by zeros. Oh my god, I'm still doing it. I'm still rotating left when I should be rotating right. Typical. Oh! Yeah, and actually it doesn't care who pushes which ball either, right? Yeah, you can see it's getting bigger. Okay, it might be too much growth amount, I think. Yeah, I think that's too much. Because also, why didn't it reset? Did I not? Was that my ball or the opponent ball? Do they both have the same 0.99? They do have the same 0.99. So why didn't that reset? Let's have a look. That is such a sight. Which ball is that? That should be the play ball, right? Yeah, that is the play ball. What position is it at? 3.5. Okay, so the position's probably... It probably goes up because it's probably the position of the center point of the ball, I think. Ah, that's a bit of an issue. So the reset height now is difficult to calculate because it's going to change depending on what position it's at. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. It must have fallen off the map. I thought we removed all freaking... We removed all velocity from the ball, but that didn't remove all velocity from the ball. Okay, so the first issue is though that it was growing too much. I made it private, didn't I? I might want to make this public so I can mess with it. Yeah, because I'm going to need to tune this. I think 0.1, 0.12. It was quite funny. But now I've got a problem. Let me ask Jibbity what it thinks I should do to solve this problem. Okay, if the snowball falls below the minimum height, I reset it as it has fallen from the race path. However, the snowball grows as it progresses along the path, and this value now goes up, assuming it is the center of the ball. All right, give me 2 seconds. Oh. You got your delivery? You got your package, yeah? Alright. No, you're early.
If you could get on with it, would be much quicker, but waiting all of the time, you know.
Yeah, it's not on that, is it?
For him to get his canyon in, and then you're waiting to go into the bay, one of the bays where he's having his chemo. And then you sat there waiting to put him on like a drip of water, salted water.
Yeah.
till his chemo comes. It's half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, you know, when it could be. You know, it's half done by then.
Yeah, it's not on having you waiting around all day like that. Right, if the snowball falls below the minimum height, I reset it as it has fallen from the race path. However, the snowball grows as it progresses along the path, and this value now goes up, assuming it is the center of the ball. Assuming current position reports the center of the ball. How can I resolve this conundrum? I'll see what it says. To handle this scenario, you'll want to make sure that when you reset the snowball's position, you also reset its scale to the starting size. I already did. Since the snowball's size affects its height from the ground, this will ensure it always resets from the correct height level on the path. You're almost there, but I noticed a small typo in the code. Linear velocity should be RB velocity. There is no RB velocity anymore. You're full of shit. There is no RB velocity anymore. It's not a typo. You're working with an old version of Unity. Yeah, there is no velocity anymore. And you didn't answer my question. Actually, maximum angular velocity is probably the maximum it can ever reach, so I probably don't want to mess with those. It's not answering my question. Big surprise. Right, one way we can fix it is to create a parent Of course you would put that there, wouldn't you, you little bitch? See, if we create a parent at the bottom of the snowball, then as it grows... Why is that one? I'm going to kill you. Yeah, those are... That's the wrong way around. Ah! And if we basically, there you go, we can make sure it grows from the bottom up. And then that way, if we measure the position of the parent should always be at the same position, no matter how big the snowball gets. What was its original? I would assume it was 1, 1, 1. So we've got to be careful about that because we said in our code that it's 2, 2, 2. We've also got to drastically change our code now. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that when we reset the size, we reset the size of our parent. So start size is transform.parent.transform.local scale. Instead of this dot transform, that wants to be transform.parent. Basically, every time we see the word this, it wants to be transform.parent. Transform.parent. I don't know, actually. I'm worried about this. Because that doesn't have the rigid body on it. So I feel like... the ball is just going to drift from its parent now, I think. Jesus Christ. I don't know if that matters. It might actually not matter that it drifts from its parent. I'm not actually sure. Okay, so instead of... Right, now ball player and ball opponent, we just need to change to the parent's snowball opponent, snowball player. And instead of saying 2F plus the growth amount, this now wants to be 1F plus the growth amount. Let's see what happens. I remembered to turn right. First time ever. Let's see what happens. I don't know why it bounced up like that. Yeah, well, the problem is we can't. Yeah, now it's never. Wait, it did reset though. Yeah, that sudden frame by frame growth. Well, first of all, it's too much. What if we do 0.1? Aside from that, though, it might be okay actually. What I might have to do is come up with a more sophisticated way of growing the snowball because it actually jitters. I think it would though, right? Because we're growing it from the parent, which isn't at zero. It's not at 0, 0, 0 of its parent. Okay, reappeared. Yeah, because it didn't look that jarring before. I think it's because it now it moves when it grows because it's at an offset from its parent. So when it gets scaled, it scales in a weird way. Fuck. Bollocky, bollocky, bollocks. Okay, I think I'm overthinking it. The easier way to do it is just to put a trigger collider. I was trying to avoid that, but now it's actually so much harder trying to do it any other way, to be completely honest. So we're going to get rid of these. We're going to set these back. We're going to get it back to the way it was. That was 0.2. It still is. This wants to be 2F. Yeah, it didn't actually look that jarring, to be honest, when it was scaling from its central point. And if I go back to transform parent, I was going to Control and Z it all back to this. That was ChatGPT gaslighting me. Okay. Yeah, so this minimum height thing is not the way to do it. So instead, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do a bool fell off equals false, and instead I'm going to say if fell off, then fell off equals false, and then all this. And then what I'm going to need to do is this. I need to create a new cube well, wrong one, there we go, which basically covers all of this area, just in case it like jumps up or something, and make sure this cube is lower than the path. So actually, can we give it a different material so I can see for sure what we're looking at? Anything will do. There we go. So there we go. We can see that that covers a good area around the path. And we're going to give it a trigger collider. I'm going to call this script the off-path trigger script. I'm going to call that the off-path trigger. I must have... Yeah, I spelled it wrong. Okay, off-path trigger. And on trigger enter, we're just going to say other get components reset ball path fell off equals true. So what that'll do is if a snowball lands on this area, so it falls off the path, it will report to the snowball that it fell off the path, and now we've handled the code to react to that basically. Okay, so it's probably my last test before I go and get some food. God damn it. God damn it. I went left and I should have gone right. I'm unbelievable. Not in a good way. Not like, you're unbelievable. I mean, I'm freaking unbelievable. Like, how can I be this stupid? Alright, let's go. Okay. Yep, growing looks so much better. Might be growing a bit much. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably too much, but we can change that value. Test different things. Let's make it go off the path on purpose. I want to make sure it resets. Boop. There we go. Reset. There it is. Yeah, I think that growth is too much, so let's go to my path thing. Let's try 0.1. That's probably more reasonable. Oh, I was so close! I was so close! It might still be a bit much, actually. You gotta go all the way back to the start again when you mess it up. That's quite fun. This would be really cool. If I do lots of games like this, it would actually be really cool to like allow multiplayer. I don't know if you can do that in the web build. I think you probably can. I think you can because that Fall Guys rip-off game looked like it had it. Because there was other players' names loaded in from somewhere. Which I assume had been like cached from some previous multiplayer or something. No! No! How am I gonna get so close to the finish line? Yeah, it might be a little bit. Let's try 0.09. It is kind of funny, but yeah, I forgot to add more mass to it as well. I was going to add a little bit more mass to it each time. We'll do that next. Because it makes sense that it would be harder to push, right? The bigger it gets. And it might make this easier actually, because at the moment it kind of goes off a bit too fast. There we go. Okay, there is a knack to it actually. Yay! We did it. Awesome. Yeah, that seems pretty good actually, 0.09. So the only thing left to do now, let's try adding a little bit of mass to it. That number wants to be 0.09, I think. And now if we go to our path progression, what we can do, set a value in here, mass amount, how much mass we want to add. And what's the original mass? We need to also make sure that that gets reset as well. So the original mass right now is 0.05. So start mass equals RB mass, and then RB mass equals start mass. And then on our progression path manager, we can say mass amount. I know it's hard coded in this one, which is a little bit weird, but that's fine. So we want to do a float new mass equals 0.05, which was our start mass, plus grow amount, mass amount times player index. And for opponent, it wants to be opponent's index. And then we can say ball player get component rigid body mass equals new mass, and ball opponent for the opponent. Okay, so we can try that now, and we should get a little bit of extra mass as it grows in size as well of whatever we set in here. Because if it's, well, that's probably too much actually, because if you think about it, right, the starting mass is 0.05. So that's going to add up to a lot of extra mass, right, which is probably too much. So I'm actually going to change that. And I'm going to change it to 0.3. Start there and see how it goes. Because it's going to double in mass. It's going to double from its starting mass as we get to about the 10th checkpoint, right? So by the time we get to the end, it's going to be like 4 times its original mass or something, and it might not even move. So too much mass we don't want. So that might still be too high actually. But we can wait, what is that null reference that we got? Oh, okay. So other things are hitting the trigger. So first of all, we need to make sure that it's actually a snowball effect. So what we play snowball. So we know the play snowballs have a reset path ball on them. So what we can do here is we can say reset path ball RPB equals other get component reset path ball. And then what we can do is say if RPB is not null, then go ahead and let it know that the player snowball fell off the path. So something else is probably triggering it, like the terrain or something, probably. Now we could put terrain on a different layer so it doesn't actually trigger it, but we probably don't need to. Let's go with that in mouse. Alright, so let's see it with the extra mass. It should feel like it gets a little bit harder to move as it gets bigger. Yeah, I think it definitely is. Slowing down a bit as well, which is kind of helping it actually. Might be too easy now. Or maybe I'm just getting better at it. There we go. And we can make a couple of, obviously you see how easy this is, right? Now that we've got this down, we can make like, you know, and I probably will. I'll probably make like 2 or 3 different paths for it. This could be like the tutorial race. Cool. Let's make sure the opponent ball works the same. And then what we do basically, so how do we create a race against an NPC, right? Well, what we do is we can literally record the player's actions, right? We just record. Ooh! We just record transform and rotation regularly enough. I've got a script that I used for my racing game. You can smooth out the timestamps in between. So you can basically record position like 10 frames a second or something like that. And then even if the game's running at 120 FPS, you can basically calculate and fill in the gaps. And so what it looks like the player's playing, it looks like the NPC is playing the same as you. Yeah, this is actually maybe a little bit too easy now, actually. Oh, I say that and then I go and get cocky and roll it off the edge of the path. But yeah, it all comes down to like level design as well, right? So like, yeah, it wants to be easy on an easy path like this because this is a pretty straightforward path. It's just one simple S bend. But if you want to make harder levels that are more challenging later on, well then you can just make more complicated paths and shapes, and that's where the challenge can come in. So don't always think that challenge comes from clunky mechanics. That's actually bad game design in my opinion. Like your mechanics want to be smooth as silk. The smoother your mechanics can be, the better. The challenge should come from like puzzle design, level design, you know, enemy design. Even though they call it PvE, player versus environment, your mechanics shouldn't be part of the environment. Your mechanics are meant to be a tool for the player. So the better the mechanics, then the better it will feel, even if it is. Ah! That probably would have passed actually. Now that's the thing, right? We can change the finish line. So that's up to you as a designer. So I'll mention one last thing before I go and get food. So basically, where's my progression points? There they are. So remember when we set these things up, right? And this shows where the player will set off a trigger collider, right? So I would have won the race there because my snowball would have been, it would have hit this trigger collider, right? So even though it fell off the edge, But if you think that's bullshit, right, and you have to, and you think, no, the player should have to get it in between those two lines. Well, that's super freaking easy. Literally, all you have to do now is that. There you go. Now it has to go through those 2 poles. And it's as simple as that. I don't know if... Yeah, you know what? I think I will. I think I will make mine like that as well. I think maybe it does make the most sense. So I'm going to do that myself for this one. So now it's like, okay, it has to go in between those 2 poles to count as a win. And if it misses, if it goes either side of those 2 poles, sorry, you did not complete the race. So there we go. Boom, simple as that. Yep, so I'm going to go get some food. But next for this, basically, all I need to do now is I play the game as the opponent. I record and I plot all my transform positions every like 10 frames a second or whatever. And then I can basically load that data in and play that data on the opponent that you decided to race against. And then the opponent is playing against you, essentially. Really, I'm playing against a previously recorded version of myself. But yeah, I basically play and record my gameplay, and that becomes the NPC's behavior, basically. Or you could do it like AI. You could try and program it so that it's actually doing calculations. And the problem with that is it's a lot harder to pull off, for one thing. And the other problem with it is if you're actually good at that, then the NPC will be so good at the game, because computers can do calculations way better than human beings ever can. So you end up having to dumb it down anyway. So like and then that's even harder. So like if you manage to create good AI that's good at playing the game, and you pass that hurdle, then you'll realize it's too good to ever beat. So then you have to work even harder to dumb it down. And it just feels kind of counterintuitive. It's kind of weird. But I think it's better to just, for stuff like this, play the game, record yourself playing the game. Try not to be, if you have the best run you've ever had, unless you want it to be extra hard to beat, then don't use that one. Maybe try and play just casually to give, other players a chance at beating you. And then you'll find that you have good runs and bad runs against previous versions of yourself, and you'll be like, oh, actually, this does feel kind of, challenging enough. But also remember, when you do that you're the developer, and you've had a lot more practice with the game than like a new player. So again, that's why I say I try to play. I imagine I'm playing against like a kid niece or nephew or whatever. And I'm kind of hoping they win. I'm not really giving it my all. I'm kind of giving them plenty of chances to beat me, because they're new and you're not. Unless you want your game to be like extra, you want the Dark Souls of winter sports or whatever, then go for it. But yeah, I think Genshin's taught me that I think casual games are the way forward. The more casual, the better. The more fun. Generally speaking, that's what I feel. But you can toughen up the challenge later on. So there we go. There's our snowball race, snowball rolling race. And so now I can just draw whatever shapes I want in Photoshop and make new paths, harder paths, harder challenges. And it's all set up and ready to go. We can measure the path. We can grow the snowball along the path. We can detect when it falls off the path. We can figure out who came in first, who came in second, and yeah, all the rest of it. All right, I'll leave it there, get some food, and I will be back probably tomorrow. Bye.